Hey everyone, how you doing? It is Monday, and you know what that means on this channel? It means we start our expert series, and we always start strong with Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Michael. Good start, good finish.
There you go. Exactly right. So good start, good finish. I like this. We got three exciting topics today that we're going to hit. The first one is, there's, people need to realize that you can absolutely become wealthy in the United States. Maybe there are some countries where there are systems or castes or just rules of law that don't allow it. But if you follow kind of the proven path, you could absolutely have a better financial future. And if you do it long enough, you can become financially free and, yes, even wealthy. I guess to ask you, do you think that's possible, or do you think the American dream is dead and, just everybody should just suck it up and live life as is?
Yeah. It's like you said, it's not just the American dream anymore. It's the worldwide dream for a lot of people in a lot of places. And, the first step is to define wealthy, because that means different things to different people. But at the end of the day, a true definition of wealth is being able to sustain your lifestyle or the lifestyle that you want without having to go earn money. That's like a technical definition of financial wealth.
Okay.
And we're not talking about richness of life and friends and this and that. We're talking about the lifestyle you have or want, being able to sustain that without ever having to earn another dollar. So that's wealthy.
Yeah,
That's when you
agreed.
own your time, you have freedom, you can do whatever you want. So yes, I think the opportunity is there for everybody to be in that position, more so today than ever before, because the information and examples are right there in front of you for free every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah, I think that is so well said. So first and foremost, again, it is absolutely there. I think the opportunities, just looking at my own 20-year journey now, you're right. The data that's there now is nothing like it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it was around, but you had to go seek it. And then again, 50 years ago, maybe when my parents were my age at the time, right? It it wasn't really even around, right? So today's generation, yes, the information is there. It is generally free or cheap. Unfortunately, the other side of the coin is there's a lot of nonsense as well, right? So
Mhm.
you do have to separate the wheat from the chaff, or whatever the hell they call that thing. But that's okay. That's the price of doing business. You need to find the right mentors. For me, it's really, they got to focus. There's too much scatter, and that really causes kind of indecision, which I know we'll talk about next. But the big one for me is focus, right? Financial freedom or wealthy, right? Living a life on your own, um, is it the path, like you said, is there. It's you know live below your means, earn, save, invest, repeat, right? Just that's kind of
Well,
the
and
process.
again, so my whole philosophy has never been to live within your means. It's always been to make more. So
Mm,
not how can I take what I have and live on less and save and do the whole David
Ramsey.
Bach, automatic millionaire or whatever.
Ah,
My whole thing has been make more, create
yep.
more, so that then you can invest. So go out there and find assets that create cash flow to invest in other assets. But at some point you got to start somewhere, right? So everybody has a budget, and I had a budget when I first started out, and unfortunately, my way to create more was to borrow it, credit
Yeah.
cards,
Well,
and
that's one way.
when I got my first house, you go to Circuit City back when they were a thing
Oh,
to get your
Circuit City.
appliances
Yeah.
for a brand new house, and it's like, oh, that's only $24 a month, and you want a TV? Oh, that's only $10 a month, and you want this. So sooner or later, those payments start adding up. Next thing you know, you got no money left. So I learned real quick. So that for me, and I get this question all the time: what's the advice for 20-year-olds or millennials or people just starting out? So I got married when I was 23,
Ah,
and I went in the Navy right out of high school. Did not go to college, so I didn't have formal education and training like a lot of people. I did get a lot of education and training in the military, and I did get some on the job training. Most of my training, the best business training I ever received, was on the job.
mm,
So what I tell young people and 20-year-olds, number one, think big and go big. You have so many examples in front of you right now, and you have very little risk when you're young. You can blow up over and over and over, and you still can make it up. And it's easy to make it up when you're young and you don't have a lot of those responsibilities and those obligations that are going to tie you down and potentially keep you from taking big risks. So when you're young, when you're in your 20s, have huge goals, have huge dreams, have huge aspirations, if that's what you want to do.
mhm.
And just think big, think unlimited, because at that point in your life, you don't even know enough to know what you can't do.
Yeah.
So what happens is people get older, they become aware of things and they start thinking they can't do things. When you're younger, you don't know that there are limitations. You don't, you feel kind of invincible, like you can do anything and you can tackle the world. And, especially when you're a young kid, you have those dreams. Um, those superhero dreams. So you want to think like that when you're young, and just don't be afraid of the fact or the knowledge that you can't make it. It's like I always say, what could you do if you didn't know you couldn't do it? So you know, just think big, go big, and just take those huge leaps because you can. Now, the next step is you got to put a vehicle behind that. So you got to figure out, well, what am I going to do?
Mm.
So again, there's tons of information and tons of examples out there. And the way you can, separate the wheat from the chaff is to look at who's done what you want to do or who is where you want to be.
Yeah.
And you either go to work for them or you learn from them or you do something with them. So those are some of the ways to do it. But you have to get that skill set, that training, that education. You got to pour into yourself first. And then you got to be willing to do whatever it takes and be willing to put the effort, the time, energy, effort, the reps in to get to the next level. It isn't going to happen now unless you're a phenomenal gamer and you create a YouTube channel about gaming and you get 10 million subscribers and then
Yeah.
you're done. It's lights out. So it can be that easy.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. So I like everything you had there. There's really so much in that. First, I've been lucky enough to talk to high school seniors a couple of times, and they're actually the closest to financial freedom that many of them will ever be, which is just an odd thing to say, right? It's because they are living on very little. They don't need a lot, right? You ask them,
Yeah.
hey, can you live on $2,000 a month? And they all raise their hand. They're like, God damn, $2,000 a month? That'd be great. Right? They don't have context. They're living with mom or dad, right? So, but that mindset is awesome, right? How long would it take you, to generate $2,000 a month if you were 20 years old? A couple of years, maybe, right? Of hard work doing the reps, as you say. And then we have people like me that didn't even start this journey until they're 30 and had a family, right? Like you, I was married young. I was married at 19. So I had responsibilities and I had college debt and I did have the formal education. So for me, it was about what could I do during the day to bust my ass, to stand out, be unique, and make the most money I could so that I could buy those assets going forward. Right. So it's
Yeah. See, here's the thing you don't realize about yourself. We've talked about this before. You were an entrepreneur. So you and I came up kind of the same way with parents that said, go get a job, put your time in. And, that's pretty much all life has to offer is the job you're working. Whereas my dad taught me, but he never really talked about it, was that if I wanted something, you need to figure out how to make the money to go get it.
Yeah.
So I always had a full-time job. My full-time job was school from my childhood age. We all have that. For you went to college and then you went into a formal corporate full-time job. I always had side jobs, side gigs, a side business. When I was a kid, it was cutting grass, raking yards, washing cars, anything I could do to make money. If I wanted to, go to the beach for the weekend and I wanted money, my dad wouldn't give it to me. I had to go make it, I had to go earn it. Now he would pay me to do things around the house too, but he was cheaper than my other clients. So it's like, do I work for him, getting 10 cents or 25 cents for every log that I chopped up when I could go cut my neighbor's grass and get $20 in an hour,
Yeah.
So, and then I had my friends coming with me, and helping me do these yards. So while I was cutting and trimming, they were raking and, sweeping, and, I'd pay them, whatever, $5-10 and I'd make 20. And, I kind of multiplied that. So I carried that with me my whole life. So when I had a full-time job, except the military, obviously I didn't have the opportunity. I was out to sea and all that. But after the military, I always had a full-time job and I always had a side business. And that side business was always in construction or doing some sort of a service, type of a thing, to help to supplement. And I use that to buy books, courses, programs, and to invest in other things. So with you, it was real estate. You had your full-time gig and you took your excess money because your model at the time was to live on less so that you could invest until you figured out how to make more and then invest more. So that's really the key, is you have to have a side business to bring in extra income, to invest and to compound and to be able to, start that freedom, that path to financial freedom. And that's the other thing I tell young people, 20-year-olds, is I'm like, don't just work one job, work three, have a business on the side of your primary and even your secondary job, because there's so many ways you can earn money now in this day and age on the side that you can then reinvest in other things. A lot of these things just weren't around when you and I were coming up.
Yeah, you're so right that that side hustle. That's what I tell everyone, whether you're 20 or 40 or 50, is go during the day, go be the best you can be at that. Right, make as much as you can. That's why I generally recommend commission-based businesses or jobs if you can stand the stress, because you really can, grow, explode your income if you're good at it, which I was. But then you got to do the side hustle, right? You have to go buy assets that produce babies, right? They produce cash flow that increase wealth.
Yeah, and
And
sales is huge. Sales is one of the highest paying professions in the world. Some of the highest paying people in the world. In fact, I would say the highest paid people in the world are salespeople because everybody's in sales. Most people don't realize it. And to your point, you said stressful. So it can be if you're looking at the quota and what you have to do, or you can flip the script, which is what I always did. And I didn't look at it as stressful. I looked at it as a predictable model of how to achieve the sale. So I know I have to knock on so many doors to
exactly.
get into so many living rooms to get, so many contracts signed to turn into a commission. And that was my world, right? Just like cutting grass. I had to knock on 10 or 12 of my neighbors' doors to get one gig. And
Hmm.
then if I did a good job, then people would see that and I would get more. So when it comes to sales and when it comes to quotas and when it comes to those things, man, it's putting in the reps. Okay. If you want to lose weight and get healthy and all that, you got to put in your reps. You got to go to the gym and you got to do those sets. You got to do those reps, anything that you want to be good at. So that's how you remove and reduce stress. I made a video the other day about eliminating anxiety and stress from your life. It's all in putting the reps in, doing the work, and creating a predictable system, figuring out how did I get that sale? What did it take? And then doing more of that to get more of those. And that's all you got to do.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. The thing that came to me my last 10 years as a second line sales leader is what was the reps, right? Okay, yeah, we have a 10, 100, $1 billion quota. We're not talking about that. We're going to break down the process all the way to the first activity, and we're going to talk about all of those, and then we'll talk about conversion factors between them. Then we're just dialing in those numbers, right? And then the money shows up at the end. So very different conversation. Um, for some people, it is stress. For me, it was always fuel, right? The beauty that
And if it's stressful, it's because you're not good at it. So if you're
yeah,
not good at it, go develop yourself.
yeah,
And
go
everything you and
practice.
I talk about begins, you got to pour into yourself. You got to develop a skill set. You've got to get good at something, or you can't create, value out of anything.
Yeah,
You got to get good at something first. So if you're not good at something, go do something else you're good at.
yeah,
Develop yourself, pick a skill, pick a skill set. That's where the anxiety comes in. When people hate their jobs, it's usually because they don't know how to do it. They're not
yeah,
good at it. And why is that? Because they either haven't been taught or they haven't poured into themselves. Nobody taught me anything. I had to go figure it out. I mean, well, I guess, my dad taught lessons and all that, but at the end of the day, when it comes to business, I taught myself, I poured into myself, and I just went out and made it happen. So that's what you got to do.
yeah. I don't think I've ever shared this story before. So again, I was an accountant out of college. That was my training, my background. I lived in spreadsheets. I was really a kind of a classic introvert at the time, if you can believe that, right? And I got the opportunity to move into pre-sales, which was kind of my first gig in sales, where you were kind of the tech guy showing a product while there was a sales guy in the room as well, right? So I was deathly afraid, right? And what did I do? I put in the reps. I remember I was employee 13 at this startup company. I went in a room, probably big, twice as big as my bedroom. I was the only person in there, and I gave my presentation to myself over 100 times, all by myself. Before I invited one person in to watch, I had done it 100 times, and it sucked for the first 20. It got a little better in the next 20. And by the end, I was the best person they'd ever seen because I put in the reps. And I got to tell you, putting in the reps and then seeing the rewards is awesome, right? So as a pre-sales person, I think my package was like 100 grand or something. And because I got that good at it, I doubled my income that first year because all the sales reps wanted to bring me. I got to bring him. He's funny. He's got jokes. He makes people laugh. It's because I practiced 100 freaking times. So yeah, putting in the
Yeah.
reps is awesome.
Yeah.
I think we need to get you a shirt. Putting in the reps. That's I've never heard that before. That's pretty awesome. So any closing thoughts on this one?
No, that's it. I mean, I think this was a good episode in terms of, number one, what is wealthy? Number two, how do you get there? And number three, is it available to anybody and everybody? It absolutely is. And I think we laid out the steps to get there.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.